and then I drove straight on down. First I said, I'm going to stop in Baltimore Saturday and just hang out in B-more a little bit. You know, my great ancestor Frederick Douglass escaped from slavery to freedom by way of Baltimore, so I was going to hang out there for a night. And then the spirit just hit me and said, keep going. So I passed Baltimore and kept on going past Richmond, and I couldn't believe I did it in a straight drive. But I got all the way down from Harlem to Nat Turner land yesterday. We just came back from Africa, 2-week tour. We were in Kemet in Abyssinia, Egypt and Ethiopia. Very powerful experience we had. One thing I'll probably never forget, for 3 nights we took a cruise down the Nile River from Luxor to Aswan, visiting temples along the way, and we had a chance to experience the lunar eclipse that took place, I believe, on the night of July 27th. And that was powerful because we had a chance to experience it from the Nile River. So that was one of those things you'll just never forget for the rest of your life. But coming on back down to earth and bringing it back down here, I met Baba Khalifa on November the 11th of 2011 by coincidence. I was coming back from a lecture. I had landed in Philadelphia. I had a text message or a voicemail from an elder sister whose name I don't even remember. I don't know if Baba Khalifa remember who that woman was, but it was a sister who left a message, and she said, Dr. Umar, do you know Elder Khalifa? He owns a lot of the land where the Nat Turner War took place, and he wants to meet you. And my whole life, I've been a big Nat Turner guy. I haven't been born on the day that the revolution began, August the 21st, right, which is my solar return. So when I heard that voicemail, I said, what? Nat Turner land? Called her back. She said, yeah, you need to call Elder Khalifa. He wants to meet you. So I called Baba while I was waiting for the, what do they call that? The airport has its own bus that takes you from the shuttle. I was waiting for the shuttle to go from baggage claim to my car. And I called Baba Khalifa up, and in those few minutes we had to talk, we were rapping, and I said, I need to come. He said, I'm in Virginia. I said, I need the address. We were talking about what would be a good day for me to come. And I remember I had 2 lectures that were supposed to take place. And I said, if this lecture might get postponed, we might move it back. If we move it back, I'll be able to come November 11th. If we don't move it back, I'll be able to come a couple weeks later, but I won't be able to come immediately. I didn't know that Nat Turner was hanged November 11th. It just so happened that the lecture got postponed, and I called Baba up and I said, hey, November 11th is open. So I drove all the way down from Philadelphia. We did the tour, and I didn't even know that day that he was killed, hung, crucified, assassinated November 11th. I found out when I got back. And I said, was that a coincidence?
No.
That the first time I show up in Nat Turner land was the day they took Nat Turner's life. And I happened to be born on the day that the war began. And so ever since then, I don't know if I missed a year. Did I miss a year, Baba, between 2011 and 2018? I think I made every one. I think I did. Okay? I thought I missed Ancestor Day this past November 11th till the Queen reminded me I was here for that too. So my memory going. So I don't plan to miss any Nat Turner days. Again, August 21st, very significant to me. Very significant to us. Not only do we have the Nat Turner War, we also have the Haitian Revolution. We also have the George Jackson Prison War. He was also August 21st, the day they took George Jackson from us, San Quentin. August 21st is very significant. Even when you look at the history of Christianity, there's certain Christian groups that say Jesus Christ was born on August the 21st. And when we go over to East India in the spiritual system that the Africans gave the Indians, the god Krishna was born August the 21st. So August the 21st all throughout our history has been a revolutionary date, and I'm just trying to contribute to that. You know, when I think of Nat Turner, I think of several things. One thing that comes to me is absolute commitment. Absolute commitment. And I think we can learn from Nat Turner's concept and exemplary behavior of absolute commitment, because Nat Turner never wavered in his fight to free African people. He never compromised with oppression.
Right.
He never second-guessed his agenda. And he never tolerated betrayal. I think absolute commitment is a weakness of African people. Because many of us are committed, but we're not absolutely committed. We're not committed enough to lose our jobs. We're not committed enough to lose our lives. We're not committed enough to lose our relationships with white people. We're not committed enough to have our family name tarnished. Most of us have conditions for our participation in the struggle. We can't have conditions. People with conditions don't get free. The Honorable Marcus Psy.D said, a man in earnest could care less about consequences. So why is it so many black people have conditions to the freedom? Nat Turner didn't have any conditions. He was absolutely committed. Also, supreme self-confidence. Nat Turner was the manifestation of supreme self-confidence. Nowhere in the record have I read or heard of him second-guessing himself. And what I find so awesome about the brother was that he left the plantation, ran away, but he said God told him that you got your mind not fixed on the things of this world. And he came back. Had a chance to go free and came back because he had a destiny to fulfill. Nat Turner was born to lead that war. He was born to lead it. He had no other purpose but that, and he knew what the purpose was. I was talking to some of the other brothers and sisters earlier. We was having a little conversation on African spirituality. And one of the central guiding themes and constructs of African spirituality is what? Knowing your purpose. Everything in African spirituality begins with knowing why you are here. And because Nat Turner knew it, he was able to achieve his destiny so young in life. I think of the good Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., another brother who I believe knew his purpose from early life. Dr. King graduated at 16. He was done with Morehouse by what, 1920? Dr. King knew that he was born to die, and so he wasted no time going about his work. El Hajj, Malik al-Shabazz, another one. So many young ones amongst us, men and women. Harriet Tubman, Queen Mother, she knew her purpose. And I think we all need to search our souls and discover our purpose, because looking at life from the perspective of a psychologist, I can tell you that a lot of mental illness is due to the fact that people don't know what their purpose is. In fact, I would even argue that depression is a manifestation of a soul that's looking to find its purpose for existence and has not yet found it. When you know why you're here, it's difficult for depression to take root. When you don't know why you're here, it is easy for depression to take root. So it's very important that we look within and find our purpose for being on this earth. Because if you was put on this earth to be a teacher and you become a doctor, you won't be happy even if you're rich. If you was put on this earth to be a warrior for your people and you became an NBA franchise owner, you still won't be happy with all the money. The reason why a lot of us are not settled and are not at peace with ourselves is because the purpose you're trying to live isn't the one you were meant to live. Many of us are trying to live someone else's expectations for us. We're trying to live someone else's dream. We're trying to fit into a white man's paradigm. You can't be at peace that way.
No, sir.
And then we get confused because we stack up all this materialistic stuff and we wonder why the materialism can't keep us happy. Because nothing outside you can make you happy. Absolutely nothing. Hence the uselessness of the white man's capitalism. Isn't it ironic that the white man, the richest man, materialistically speaking, leads the world in suicide? The man you're trying to be is most likely to take his own life. The father of European capitalism isn't even at peace with his own creation. And that's who we're trying to be. So that supreme self-confidence that Nat Turner have is something that I need to put in every boy when we open up the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. It's something that y'all need to put in every child y'all raising right now. If you are a mother or a father, scoutmaster, mentor, whatever you are, you working with youth, you got two goals. Supreme self-confidence, and what's the other one that Nat Turner exemplified and embodied? Divine fearlessness. Divine fearlessness. Nat Turner was the embodiment of divine fearlessness. He never questioned himself about his mission.
That's right.
Even when circumstances got bleak, he continued to push forward. And even as he lay in jail waiting to be taken to the gallows, when Thomas Gray asked him, if God gave you this mission and you have failed in this mission, you've been captured, you're about to die, most of your comrades dead, if God gave you this mission, wouldn't you have to say it has come to failure? And Prophet Nat said something that shook my whole life, and that's what made me follow him ever since. And his response to Thomas Gray was, even Christ had to be crucified.
Come on.
Look at that. Look at that. Even Christ had to be crucified.
Okay.
And I would love to know under what Orisha Nat Turner was born, because I think Nat Turner was an Ogun energy. I'm an Ogun energy. But I noticed that it's been thundering all day and been rolling, and that's a Shango energy.
Yes, sir.
And so Nat Turner may have been a combination of both. And the difference between Ogun and Shango is what? Shango is the personification of masculine energy. Shango is the king. He's the Oba. He's the ruler. He's the governor. He's the president. Okay? He's the nation organizer. He runs the nation. That's Shango. He's the Oba. The king of kings is Shango. Ogun is pure power, energy, pure war, iron, metal, the principle of invincibility. And so the difference between the two, because they're both warriors, is that Shango is a diplomat. Shango wants to sit down and reason with you before he cuts your head off. Can I save you? So Shango, sit down, brother, let's work it out. So he's a diplomat, politician, king. Ogun don't have time for conversations and discussions. Ogun just come with the machete, chop, chop, chop. And so when I look at Nat, I see the Shango side, because he was an orator. Shango runs oratory. Okay? Very eloquent, well-read. That's Shango, the leader. But when I saw what he did in 1831, that's all Ogun energy. Chop, chop, chop.
Yes, sir.
So it'd be really interesting to see where Nat Turner fell at. But in addition to that, when I think about Nat Turner, I think about a man who was intimate with his creator. Intimate with his creator. Why is that important? Because a lot of us claim to be spiritual, but we're not intimate with our creator. No, we're not. We're intellectual with our creator. We are cerebral with our creator. We are knowledgeable about our creator, but we're not spiritually intimate with our creator.
Right.
The reason Nat Turner could go to his death and not care about the consequences of his actions is he was so in ecstasy with his creator that no matter what happened, he knew that it would only be the will of the creator.
That's right.
Reminds me of another one. Queen Mother Harriet Tubman, who said, I had reasoned it out in my mind that I had a right to two things. If I couldn't have one, I would surely have the other. But they would not deny them both. And she said, liberty or death. You're going to give me one. I'm going to take one, and if I can't get the first one, I'm going to definitely take the next. We don't think like that no more. And what is the word that describes that type of behavior? The type of commitment of a prophet Nat. The type of commitment of a Queen Mother Harriet. And I'll give you another person whose Earth Day we celebrate today. Another one of our great African ancestors, whose grave I visited 2 weeks ago. Emperor Menelik II. Descendant of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba of the Bible. King of Kings, immediate predecessor to His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie. It was Menelik II who was most responsible for Ethiopia never being colonized by the white man.
Yes, sir.
In a battle in 1896, Battle of Ottawa, the Italians invaded Ethiopia, and everyone told Ethiopia to just bow down, it's over. Italy is a superior military force, and Emperor Menelik said, we'll see about that.
Come on.
And in Ethiopia at the time, they would wear a military dress made out of a lion's skin. So all the soldiers looked like lions. They were clothed in the body of a lion. And they went out to meet the Italians. And it was Emperor Menelik's wife, the late great Empress Taitu, who gave him an idea on the battlefield. The Italians wouldn't come out to fight. And Menelik said, we got to get a way to get them out here so we can destroy these crackers. And his wife said, block the water. If they ain't got no water, they got to come out to fight you because they need water to exist.
Come on.
So listening to his wife, he ordered the cavalry to block the water, and as a result of that, the Italians had to come out to fight because they needed water. And in a perfected military campaign, they surrounded the devils and then moved in on them and slaughtered everyone who stood in their way. And the Italians were so angry at what Emperor Menelik II did that they couldn't wait to try to get a second shot at it, and that's why they invaded Ethiopia in 1936 under His Majesty. They could not live with the fact that they had lost to an African king who was not as militaristically equipped as them. Which takes us to another point that Nat Turner also exemplified. And that is the moral to the physical is a ratio of 5 to 2, brothers and sisters. It doesn't matter what your enemy has in his arsenal. If you have the heart and the mind and the commitment and the determination, you will win. Napoleon Bonaparte said as much. He said, if I got to take an army of weak soldiers and good weapons, or an army of good weapons, weak soldiers and good weapons, or strong soldiers and weak weapons, he said, give me the strong soldiers and the weak weapons.
Every time.
Because he said, there's no price you can put on a man who's willing to die for what he believes in.
Right.
And the irony of Napoleon's prophecy was that it visited him during the August 21st, 1791 Haitian Revolution.
First.
He spoke his own death. Because when it came to Toussaint L'Ouverture and Henry Christophe and Jean-Jacques Dessalines and Boukman Dada, they didn't have the military arsenal of Napoleon, Frenchmen, but they had the guts.
That's right.
And they had the heart.
They sure did.
And then Toussaint, we learned a lesson from Toussaint because Toussaint thought he could strike a deal with Napoleon.
Picture that.
Napoleon said, come on down to the water, let's have a conversation. Y'all won, we give you that, let's work it out because you're still a son of France. And Toussaint, because his mind was a little bit poisoned. Great leader. Great leader! But you know what Toussaint's weakness was? The same weakness most of us got right here today. There's a part of us that still wants to love our oppressor.
Come on.
And so Toussaint went down to the water and they met together. And that's when they imprisoned Toussaint L'Ouverture, took him back to France, died in an unmarked grave. Nobody knows where his body is today. Trust in white folks. On that note, with the water coming down, what you want to do? Move inside, Baba, to do the question and answer session? Let's move on inside before y'all get all wet.